Finally, we have an engine. That took a little longer than I'd have hoped for it to show up, but that's okay. I've been working on some other stuff. And so this here is a 2.5 liter inline 4 out of a 94 Dodge Caravan. And I paid $400 for it out the door with tax and everything. And it was pulled for me and yada, yada, yada. It was the only 2.5 liter listed as good on Carpart within, I think, like a 200-mile radius or like 190-something miles. And this one wasn't very far. Everything else was 200 plus. And the van had 182,000 miles on it. And I'm like, you know. But I've looked at this engine very briefly. Not too terribly close, but I've looked at it. And I think we've done good. They did pressure wash it. They did clean it. But you notice how like shiny and colorful certain parts are? Like that oil pan gasket. Like those freeze plugs. Like that head and the valve cover gasket. Maybe that exhaust manifold gasket. Yeah, how about that head gasket right there? All new plugs, wires, cap. I'm assuming the rotor's been replaced. That fuel pressure regulator has been replaced. That throttle body looks really clean, just as is. The timing belt is old and cracked. I will give you that. The timing belt has cracks in it. But that O2 sensor, I believe, looks pretty shiny up there. This engine, at the very least, has been... Even that, the IAC valve. I'm seeing that just now. That's a replacement IAC valve. This engine's been gone through. I almost don't wonder if it's been rebuilt. At the very least, the head's been off. The head's pretty shiny. So my plan initially was to put this on the bench, pull the head off of it, put a new head gasket. I've got a head gasket for it. I got a whole gasket kit for it. And just make sure it's all good to go. I don't know if I assume... No, I didn't buy a water pump because I figured I was going to run what was on this engine, which this water pump feels great. I did notice when I popped this cap off, a little bit of rust right here at the very top. I mean, like, this is where the water's coming up to. A little bit of moisture here, oil residue, but that doesn't concern me any, really. Anyway, bottom line is we do need to get it out of this truck one way or another today and get it onto an engine stand so I can put a tarp on it like the transmission sitting here. That shiny new looking fuel pressure regulator's got a Mopar part number on it too. Huh. Like there's no way like an old one with 182,000 miles looks clean like that, right? Well, it got dark on me, but I'm getting to work here. You know that rotten heater line we had over here that runs like all around the sides and everything? I think they redesigned it. See, here's the one heater line right here. This goes into here. Look at this line right here. That so conveniently lines up. They redesigned it, and it's a 2-bracket piece there. Look at that. And it's mint. So we don't even have to worry about that stupid bracket thing, I don't think. Because that's it right there, I'm pretty sure, right? Because this will go into one side of the heater core, and then this one goes into the other side. Shall we see if it rotates all the way around? I'm not going to lie, when I just turned the engine around, I bumped it and it wasn't stuck. So I'm assuming it's just fine, but I figure we might as well check, right? It would rotate this way. I feel compression. And I smell really old gas. Yeah, it just exhausted a bunch of really old gas. Ew, that's great. So I wonder if there must have been like gas leaked into the cylinder or something. Yeah, that's fine. She's mint. Nice. Maybe it's not as fresh as I thought, but, you know, and their pressure washer. Definitely proof that the pressure washer did a lot of good work. I think that rear main's leaking. and also the oil pan gasket here. So maybe that just says pull it apart anyway. I don't know. But it's off here. I think I'm gonna pull this plate off quick, get that out of the way, and then I'll go ahead and, like I said, bolt it up. All right, I got the plate for the engine stand bolted up. I somehow miraculously found some more bolts. I had enough to do this. For this 2.5, there's only 4 holes, so it can only go in one spot. And then I kind of just lined it up, so I'm clear of this rear main seal, so I can work on this with it on the stand. Like, I'm not going to have any issues getting it on and off. And then I've got it pulled back far enough that I should be able to slide this guy on. This is my plan anyway. Like a glove.
Like a glove.
Now, we kind of want it like that right there. Pins in. Slide this guy on. We're closer to the ground than I thought we would be, which is good, I think. Can I do this by myself? Hopefully, I don't crush my toes here. I'm also on ice, by the way, so my foothold isn't... I'm hoping to kind of lean. Hopefully, like the truck bed holds this up. Okay. That's good for that. Land right on the crank. And we're good. Yeah, that's good for that. Land right on the crank. Well, there she is. There's the new heart. That's going to be it for now. I'm going to get a bag on it right now because it's supposed to rain and stuff. And then I will bring y'all back when I get a chance here to pull this thing into the garage here. And we'll start pulling some stuff apart. Yeah, and here we are finally. Got this engine inside. It's been in here for a couple days now. It's all warmed up. I think it's time to start tearing it apart. I'm going to go, you know, this is out of character, guys. I'm going to actually tear the engine apart and not completely gamble on it, even though I think I have got pretty good odds this time. There's a couple differences in this 95 versus the 90 we have out there. I think the biggest two are that the cooler line doesn't route along the fender walls and stuff. It's right here instead, this one right here. It routes with the other pipe and comes up to here, which is nice. So we got our heater core line and our other heater core line right here instead of that mess that we have on the other van. And the other one is the coil pack is here. I think on the 90 it was over here on the fender wall. So, and I kind of arguably just want to utilize this. So we might have to do some wire splicing. This harness is a little different, I think, specifically because of that. I'll have to look at the other harness. I'd almost rather use the coil here. And so maybe we'll just take this pigtail, kind of nip it, and then splice it into the old pigtail over here and just route the wire. It's kind of the thought. It's a good thing we got this water pump pulley because our pulley was kind of rust-jacked and messed up. This pump feels okay to me. I don't see anything wrong with that pump, so we're just going to leave that on there, I think. I don't know exactly what this is. I know we got to get in here. There's a piece of foam in this timing cover that's been rubbing. We got to change this timing belt. I think I'm going to do the head gasket anyway. I'm going to pull the heads off. We'll take a look at everything. Alright, well, timing cover's off. Had one casualty. I snapped that bolt off. I don't know if there was any save in that. I might be able to clean it up and get a vice grip on it. We'll try. But I know this engine's been into, right? Like, I know it's been into. Maybe not as recently as we thought. I think they did a really good pressure washing job. But I know it's been into. I know all the gaskets have been replaced, like fresh-ish. And then remember, this looks pretty fresh looking, but it's also got a Chrysler, Pentastar on it and stuff. And then there's markings in places where you wouldn't think there would be. Dizzy doesn't look too clean or whatever. Then you come down to the water pump, which seems pretty fresh. It's got marks on it. It's nice. It's in good shape. There's Pentastar on it. So either there's a chance it's like an actual Chrysler remanufactured engine, or they just skimped out on some parts. I don't think it was as recent as we thought, because, well, this belt is junk. It's super dry cracked and everything. Here, yeah, there you go. But I know it's been into, and I know they had this all out and they timed it and everything. So it has been replaced, unless they really skimped out and didn't replace the belt. Definitely oil coming off of this cam seal up here. We'll have to take care of that. Must be oil off the crank seal, unless it's come through this valve cover, which was also leaking. Have to see what it takes to get that crank seal out and replaced. How about this seal back here? I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure out where the timing marks are on this thing so I can get it in time. Alright, you guys want to see something funny? So I think I've got it in time. I've got the cam gear, so this guy sits kind of straight up and down right here, which is straight with the engine, which happens to line up with the center of that. But the big thing is these two pointers on the cam gear line up with those lines right there, which they do. Come down to the crank gear, you got a little dot here, which is supposed to be kind of center of these two bolts. I don't think these are factory marks. I think somebody punched these into it, but they might be factory. Anyway, if you look here, those marks are center of this, and that lines up. But what about that? And that is a tooth off. Huh. So, has the Dizzy been running off, or did they adjust it to make it work? Because I'm going to tell you right now that that's a tooth off. And also, what we're thinking is this foam, it's a damper that was inside this mount here. And is clearly no longer inside of there, but we're going to remove it. Yeah, I think that's a tooth off, this gear here. I think that is a tooth off. So, that's good, right? Well, now that we know what the timing is looking like and how it's off, let's get this belt off of here. So I think, I'm just looking here, I haven't actually looked this up. I think we just got to pull this off. Yeah, and it'll loosen like that. So let's get this out of here. Starters. There we go. Well, that was easy. How does this pulley feel? Oh, this is shot. Can you hear that? As I make noise. Yeah, that pulley's junk. I hope I have one. Do I have a timing belt for this? Did I buy a timing belt? I need to go look, because if I didn't, I need to buy one. I don't see why I would not have bought one, but I didn't see it when I first went and looked, but I also didn't look that closely. Anyway, just pull this. Is this thing under tension? I don't want to hurt myself here. No, it feels out of it. It's not under tension. Okay. Look at this belt is all goofed up in oil and junk. So, yeah, look at the cracks in this belt. It needed done. This severely needed done. Oh, wow. Then again, I think these are non-interference, so it wouldn't have been the worst, thing in the world, but it wouldn't have been good for it. Wouldn't have been good for us. Okay. So with that, I think we can pull this bracket out of here. And this piece of dampening foam. Look how much it's rubbed into that. Been there a long time. But I'm pretty sure it probably just sat in here or something like this. I don't know, it's never doing that again. So this will come off just like that. I think this whole shaft will come out actually, which we're not going to do. Clearly, I don't want to mess that up, but I should be able to get that seal out of there, no problem. Clean this up and throw that back on. I'm just going to set it back on. Make sure it's got an oil passage here that obviously only goes one way, but we'll just set that back on there for now. I got it loose, so we should be able to replace that seal. There we go. Kind of keep that about where it's supposed to be. It's keyed, so it doesn't matter. This sprocket's got to come off of here somehow. I don't quite know how it comes off. I'm assuming I got to pull it off with a puller, but I'll have to look into that a little more. I think we're going to kind of change gears here. I think I'm going to try pull the water pump assembly off of here. We'll just get this all unbolted. That way it's out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get the valve cover and oil cover off of here. We got to get this cam sprocket off as well. Kind of get this engine completely stripped down. There is some end play in this crank, by the way. All right, I need a screwdriver. See if you guys can see and hear this. Look at the gap on these right here. I don't know if this is normal or not. See it? Hard to kind of show. There's a little bit. There's definitely a little bit there. Obviously, we're not going to do anything about it because we can't really. Unless something really is drastically bad when we pull the heads off, which I doubt it, but I don't know. I don't know. This engine's kind of weird. Just the way it kind of looks good and then doesn't, but does. It's been into, but like, I don't know how long ago. So. Okay, cam sprocket's off. I don't know who installed this seal, but they didn't do it right. One, it's gooped up, and two, it's kind of like in and out, and it's that funny spot. It's like they pounded it in funny and wrong. And I wonder if that's why it was leaking. Anyway, that's shot. As for this crank sprocket, we're going to have to get creative. So that calls for a special Miller tool for a puller. I don't know what we're going to do about that. There's a good idea for when we get it off and we need to get it back on. There's kind of where it needs to sit. I think it's supposed to just seat on the shoulder in there because you can see where the crank is. It should just seat onto that. But we're going to have to try pull that off of that to get at that seal, which is very obviously leaking. It's so oiled up around that. There's no way it's not. So I'd like to get that all off of there, but it's going to take some effort. I'll see what I got for some pullers because we might be able to just put something on here because we got to get it in. This you can't press against this because that's part of this. You got to get the threads in here on like a crank bolt or a special bolt, and then you got to like thread into this and try to pull it off. So I'll see what I can do. Obviously, everything's closed. It's Christmas today, so I'm not going to be able to get a hold of a puller, but we'll see what we can do. All right, I got all the bolts out of the valve cover here. Let's get this thing off of here. Oh, it's stuck on good. Okay. There we go. Please don't be bad. There's more moisture than I want to see in there. But that looks pretty okay to me. That doesn't look bad. It smells like old fuel, dog. Cams must have had a little bit of rust, surface rust on them. You can see it's kind of wiping right off. But from us spinning it, they look pretty clean. I don't see anything too bad going on here. I want to wipe these down and probably re-lube them up. Yeah, that one's got a little bit of rust on it right there. Probably get a bolt in here so I can spin this. The valve stem seals look, because I kind of don't want to take that apart if I don't have to. Everything looks like it's there, though. Yeah, I think we got to this engine just in time. Well, it could have been worse, but it definitely had moisture in it. Yeah, look, see there's water droplets right there. Water droplets in it. Not a good thing, but this looks okay, and obviously nothing is seized because it's spun around good enough. That's what we're looking like. Looking good there. A little bit of rust in here, you see that? I can't feel it though, so I think we'll be alright. I see cross-hatching. See that cross-hatching in there? Cross-hatching in there, a little bit of rust there. We need to oil these up. Look at that. I think we're catching this motor just in time. I don't feel any of it, but definitely some oil, or rust, I should say. I want to rotate this around, and then we'll take a look at the rest of them. I'll oil these up quick. Here, just a little bit of PB blaster. Those two cylinders look good. Those are, we can tolerate those. I'm assuming the other two look just fine, but where do you think my crank bolt is? Crank bolt. Run that in again. All right, let's rotate this thing around. Probably get a rag here, soak this extra oil up. You know. Those two look pretty good as well. Yeah, a lot of cross-hatching going on. Nice and shiny. Same here. Those look good. Little rust spots, but like, I don't, here, let's see, I don't really feel any of it. It feels okay. Yeah, I think we'll be alright there. So, I can't tell if that's scoring. I think that's just oil and stuff because it's rubbing right off the sides. Maybe a little bit of vertical scoring in this one. Yeah. Then again, it's just wiping the rust off, I think. Look good. Yeah, everything looks good. Clean off these pistons, see if there's any markings on them or not. I don't see anything, but you never know. Looks good. Alright, let's take a look at the head side. So, this would be number 4 here. Looks okay, carbony as heck. Number 3, it looks okay. It's got some oil that we dripped down here. Number 2, a little bit of rust here on number 3. In that area right there, not too bad. Number 2's got some funny business looking in there. And number 1 looks decent. Plugs look super carboned up. They look pretty fresh. They don't look terrible. Carboned up as can be though. We'll take those out. We'll clean them up. Put everything back together. I did swap the temp sensor here. This is out of the old head because the one that was in here was all bent up. Looks pretty good considering. It's not bad. Just a little cleanup. New head gasket. Clean up the plugs. We were talking about doing that valve stem seal, weren't we? Alright, let's get that oil pan off real quick. Should just come right off. All the bolts are super loose. A little bit of sludge, not too bad. A little bit of moisture, not too bad. That looks pretty good. Let's get you in here. Everything looks good there. I don't know how tight or loose that's supposed to be, but that seems pretty loose to me, but I don't know any better. Well, pickup tube does look like it's full of stuff. Maybe a piece of something there. See it there, dead center? I don't know what that is. Don't care. Alright, so we pulled this rod off, and I've got the bearings here. I've already looked at this one. They don't. Crank looks great. The bearings definitely have some use to them. They're not perfect, that's for sure. But they're okay. They've got plenty of meat on them. Somebody tell me what these markings mean. I couldn't find anything on them. So they're 8-11. I don't think that really means anything. This right here for sizing. I don't know if they're standard or if they're oversized or undersized or what. 857-4X. Somebody tell me what that means. I don't quite know. It'd be nice to know if it's been redone for sure or not. Obviously I can't tell, but I'm just gonna clean these up, slap them back in, torque that rod back down. I do know what this thing is now. It's the big balance shaft stuff that the 2.5s have that I don't think the 2.2s have, if I'm correct, right? So what this does, I guess, is the crank spins this, which spins these at faster than the crank anyway. It counterbalances some whatever vibrations in the engine, I guess. Alright, I've been busy here. I got the oil pan all cleaned up. I got that painted a little while ago. That's looking pretty good. I got the rear main seal set out. I got that intermediate shaft seal out. And then I've been busy over here on the engine block, and I've been cleaning it up. And I just finished painting the front side of the engine. I've already done the back side. So you can see I got some stuff taped off, and then like on these spots I put some assembly lube on here. And so we'll be able to wipe off some of that stuff here, the overspray and whatever. It's all rebuilt, and that should be good to go pretty soon. At least it should be dry tomorrow for full reassembly. So this is what I got rigged up. I was able to get two in. This kind of chicken leg pullers, or chicken foot pullers, not perfect for this, obviously. I've got the crank bolt backed out just a hair. I've got pretty good engagement on this. I've got full engagement on this, and it's sitting pretty straight. It sits in this bolt nice. Might think about heating this up a little bit, but I'm just gonna try this real quick. I'm not gonna like impact it or anything. I'm gonna go by hand here and just see how I can feel, and hopefully it just kind of just backs off, but we'll see. No, do not do that unless you want to ruin the puller. It was starting to kind of want to go like this and walk, so I didn't want to damage the puller, so that's not going to work. You need 3 supports the way this is, because you're not even, because it's a kind of a Pentastar 5-bolt looking guy there, so that's not going to work. Well, here's my next dumb idea. Well, it's not my idea. I'm going to credit Beck Built on YouTube for this idea. He was doing a 2.5 turbo, I think. He was doing a quick teardown, and he had this idea. And his forewarning is you will damage your pulleys, so don't do this on the pulley you need to use. Lucky for us, we had an engine that was locked up. So this is the pulley off of that engine. And so the idea here is to flip the pulley backwards. And then, I don't know, I don't think he used all 5. I'm going to use all 5, and I'm going to work on it slowly, kind of go back between them all, and absolutely shim the living heck out of it so you don't bottom out your bolts, but also get enough engagement so you don't pull the threads out either. Hopefully not snap the bolts. That's why we're going to use 5. And you're going to, what it's doing is, this is not touching that sprocket. So the idea is it's going to push against the case here, hopefully not mess the case up, and instead sacrifice the pulley, and it'll walk that sprocket off of it. So I'm going to get a little flashlight here, and I'm going to kind of watch it, because I can see where the snout is and where it is, and I might, I don't know, there's really nothing I can do. I'm just going to watch it. And hopefully it walks off of there. And I had to dig around some miscellaneous bolts. I've got one bolt from that kit we're sacrificing. Don't tell O'Reilly. I did everybody a favor, and I chased all the threads on those bolts in there. And hopefully that bolt holds up. And then we've got a bunch of miscellaneous bolts I had. So I'm going to try this, and hopefully it works. Otherwise, I priced one of those Miller tools, and it's like $300 for the kit. I got to do some more looking. That was just some quick looking. I saw $300. I'm like, no. We're going to keep trying things. If I have to, I'll buy the tool, because I'm sure it'll be really helpful in the future to have anyway. But for now, I think we're going to try this. Victory. That worked brilliantly. So, special thanks to our boy for that idea. This one, I just had to add another washer. You got to be careful when you're doing this. Make sure you don't bottom out. But as you can see, it ran the crank sprocket all the way in almost on these. And what I did at the very end, when I saw I was, pretty well there. And I wasn't. I guess I probably could have kept tightening it a little more. I took the 3-pound hammer and I just whacked on the back of this, and it popped right off. As you can see, it does ruin this pulley, but I'm going to save this, obviously, for the next time. But if we take a look in here, you can see exactly why we're here. See how oil-soaked that is? That seal is shot. That is why we're here. Otherwise, it would have just caked up more oil and caused more problems, and we'd have been right back here. Now, I think, looking at this, I think I can just pop this whole guy off of here, and I should be able to pull the whole thing out with the seal installed. I'm going to give that a shot first anyway. Yeah, that we should be able to just do that, and then we'll pop the new sealing, clean this piece up, and then we should be able to start reassembly. Now, for reassembly, we're going to use the crank bolt to snug this sprocket that's right here back onto it. Hopefully we don't have any issues. Where's the key? I heard it fall. Oh god. I heard something ting when I took this out. It was that key. Make sure you don't lose that. That's very important to being able to line that thing up. There it is, right there. I heard as you throw it again. That guy's super important right there. Don't lose that. And just for proof, that's exactly where the oil was coming from. Look on the bottom of that crank seal. It's cracked. See it? That is probably an original seal. Yeah, this seal is rock hard. Oh my gosh. Yeah, look at that. So whenever whoever did this engine and rebuilt it, I don't know if it was just a regasket or what, I guarantee you they saw this, what I just had to do, and they're like, we ain't do, and they didn't do it. And, yeah, this seal is rock hard, and it is cracked. So that had to happen. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That needed to be done, and we're doing it, and it's out. That piece is all off. I'll be able to come in here and clean this all up. Another thing, what do you guys think about the... I don't know. It just seems loose to me. It just seems very loose to me. I don't know. I mean, I'm not doing anything about it, so it doesn't matter, but I don't know. It just seems kind of loose. Like, I mean, that's borderline hitting the stud here. But then again, it's under tension when it's spinning, so I don't know. I just feel like that's going to make excessive noise, if nothing else. I'll look into it, and I'll see if there's anything mentioned about it on replacing that, or what the idea is there. But, because I mean, I guess you want to replace it, you do it now, that's for sure. Okay, good news. I think we're going to be able to fix this, because this is a problem, by the way. That was loose. So I've got the pivot bolt and the adjustment bolt on the tensioner loosened up on here. There's a whole bunch of steps with replacing this and doing all we're just tensioning the chain that's existing. And so the idea is I need to find one still. I need to get a 1mm shim, which is also 39 thou, and place it in between here, the tensioner and the chain. It needs to be like this and then like that thickness. And then the idea is push very firmly against this and take all the tension out, which we, as you can see, is done. And there's enough adjustment in here that we can get all of that tension out. And then with this being held firmly with the shim in place, you then tighten this down to, what's it say down there? 105 inch-pounds. Tighten this bolt first, then tighten this bolt, and then you should be good to go. So I'm going to find a shim, and we're going to get that adjustment made. Alright, got a status update here. So you can see this looks awfully shiny here, as does this, which is reinstalled. We've got ourselves some brand new seals in place. And then come on over here. Got ourselves a shiny new rear main as well. By the way, the rear main that was in there, it had a Pentastar on it. So, see, I don't know. Maybe this engine just was really cleaned up, but it sure looked like it had been apart. Anyway, we know that crank seal hadn't been done. And this chain that was way out of slack, look at that. How about that? Remember how I could pull it and it was literally, I was able to hit the case with it. So I got that adjusted. I ended up, what I did, I put the feeler gauges away. I didn't have a 39 thousandths feeler gauge. So what I did is I took a 25 and a 14 and I put them together, slid them in there, pushed this. As you can see right here, you can see the old witness mark. That's the extra tension it took. And now this chain it's a lot better. So I think that was going to make some noise and do something funny, but now it's good. I didn't check that it jumped. I don't think it jumped or anything funny, but it's good to go in that regard. Otherwise, I got the keyway back in place here. I'm getting ready. I think I'm going to try get that crank gear back on this guy right here. Get them all cleaned up and put back on. Hopefully we don't have trouble there. Otherwise, I did clean all the grease off. Doesn't that look nice? We'll never see that again, but it does look nice. All right, pretty big update here. As you can see, we've got the oil pan on. Got that all cleaned up, got the new gaskets in place. I actually took the torque wrench to all those bolts. It's 200 inch-pounds for all the M8 bolts, and then there's one M6, and that's I believe it's 105. Anyway, it's all tightened down. Looking a-okay there. I also got the gear for the crank sprocket on. So what I did is I started it. I got the key in there, kind of just felt it on, make sure it was there. Took a rubber mallet to it and just whacked it a couple times. That got it maybe a quarter of the way on, a third of the way. Took the crank bolt on. Make sure you oiled the inside of this and that. Make sure they're clean beforehand. And it went right on. It didn't, no trouble at all. Took a piece of board here and stuck it in here so the engine wouldn't spin over. Good to go. Did that before I did this too, by the way. So that's all good to go. Now the next big task is getting the head all good to go, getting the surface cleaned up, getting a new gasket. Make sure this is good to go. I just got it sitting here. I've got to do the valve stem seals. I'll do that tomorrow, I think. And once that's all taken care of, get that all ready to go. Slap that on there, and that should be, you know, the major parts of the engine all back together. Still got oil in there, good to go. Alright, we got the head disassembled. I hate that valve spring compressor tool. I hate it, I hate it, I hate it, but we got it apart. The cam quote-unquote bearings, yeah, they've seen better days. But they're present, I guess. I don't know. Those valve stem seals, they have Pentastars on them, so those are original or Chrysler rebuild or what. They're pretty hard. In fact, that one about ready to come off by hand. Yeah, they're not in good shape. So it's a good thing we're in here to replace those. So I'm gonna get those peeled off. I'm gonna get this head pretty cleaned off, get all the oil and stuff out of it, the grime, probably turn it around, clean off the head surfaces where the pistons and valves seat and everything. And then we'll go ahead and we'll get it reassembled. I've got everything in order so far, but yeah, we'll just get it put back together and then we'll get it on to that. All right, I got the head all cleaned up. Kind of knocked some of the carbon off the valve seals. I resurfaced the head. I took it to a machine shop. No, I didn't. I took like an emery cloth sort of deal to it. Steel wool. It's not steel wool, but you know, Scotch-Brite. And then, yeah, just cleaned everything off. I did get the little lash adjusters or lifters, whatever you want to call them, out. Got them off to the side because I didn't want to tip this thing over and knock them out, as well as the washers for the valve springs, like the seats for them. Those are all out. Then I got it rinsed off again with some brake clean, just get all the dust or whatever out. Valve cover surface is all cleaned up as well. Thermostat housing surface is cleaned up. This thing should be ready for reassembly. We're going to start with the new valve stem seals, and then I'll just slot the valves in and we'll just slowly work from there. I think once I get the valves in themselves and set with the springs, I'm actually going to flip over and get the head surface cleaned off on the block, and then I'm going to get the head bolted down before reassembling everything. And then once it's on there and I got a nice working surface, I'll be able to come in and lube everything up with some assembly lube and properly bolt it together without the shaky table that I really shouldn't have everything set on precariously. One valve. I'm so mad at this valve spring compressor. I want to go out and return it right now because I want it out of my sight. Anyway, I have all of the valves reinstalled, and I have the lash adjuster, lifter thing, whatever you want to call them. They're all installed, lubed up, lots of assembly lube. We won't talk about the amount of F words dropped putting those in with that stupid spring compressor tool. I hate that tool so much. I just need to buy the one that goes and clamps around the head and holds the valve up and everything. That's the right tool. That one kind of sucks. But anyway, they're all in. Everything looks fine. The valves obviously are not, the springs are not flying out everywhere. The thing looks good to go there. We're going to switch over to the head, or the block here. Get all this stuff off precariously that's sitting here. Clean off the head surface here. Get ready for our new head gasket. Slap that on, slap the head on, bolt it down, and then we'll go ahead and we'll clean up the cam and finish reassembly there. Alright, so block's all nice and clean. We've got that, and we've got that. Let's go ahead and get this installed. This is part of that Apex kit. I got, like I said, every gasket I needed for like 45-50 bucks. Anyway, that's going to sit just like this. I figure we're just going to put a little bit of this on the head gasket just for precaution's sake. And she'll be mint, I suppose. Call it a day. There. As you can see, my hand's all shiny now. Next up, Mr. Head. Come here, big boy. Oh my god. Oh. Make sure you don't put this the wrong way, like I just about did. There. That was easy. Alright, so if anybody ever wonders where I get some of this information, the internet is really not super helpful, especially nowadays. with the whole AI search engine stuff. This it gets even harder to find this stuff. Not to mention it's hard to find to begin with. So, guy uses a factory service manual from Chrysler. This one just so happens to be a 91. They're mostly all the same, you know, give or take. I confirmed that this is the same procedure in a 93 book I also had on hand. So that's what we're going to follow. It's a 4-step sequence for tightening these head bolts. Right here, you've got it in order. That's the order you tighten the bolts in. And you do them all to 45, then you do them all to 65, and then you do them all to 65 again. And then you do a quarter turn. And then you should check that the torque is over 90 foot-pounds. So then you take your torque wrench, set it to 90. If it torques out, you're good. And then if not, obviously replace the bolt. My elbow hurts, but I got everything torqued down to 90 plus foot-pounds. As you can see, we got some marks here. I turned them quarter turn. Following torque sequence, and that should be the head install complete. Should be good to go in that regard. Starting to almost look complete-ish, which is awesome. I gotta get that gear off of that cam. I forgot to do that beforehand. I should be able to impact it off, no problem. And then we'll get the cam installed with the new seals. Make sure we lube up all of these bearings, which I say that because they're not actually bearings. They just use the aluminum surface as the bearing itself. So there's really nothing you can do aside from, well, there's really nothing you can do about it. This is kind of rough, like honestly. Like that, it's not good. It's not good, but it's better that the bearing looks like this than the cam does, because it's softer than that cam. So it doesn't bother me too much. So we'll go ahead, we'll clean them up, we'll get it all slapped together. So I was actually kind of worried about them, especially this one. And I took a red Scotch-Brite and I wrapped it on my finger like this, and I just went like this a few times. And they actually cleaned up really good. There's one nasty groove in that one I'm not going to worry about, but they actually cleaned up really good. And then I blew it all off with an air compressor, blew out all these holes too, and they actually look good. I'm happy with how that turned out. I almost see right here, see this little nick right there? I think that's from the valve spring tool. I might work on that. Yeah, I can catch it with a fingernail right there. I'm going to work on trying to flat that out of that so that doesn't groove anything. But otherwise, yeah, those look really good. I think I can take this to the cam itself, like put some oil on it, because that's hardened steel. If that cleaned that up, I think we'll be fine at cleaning that up with it. And we'll just kind of try clean up those lobes, because I don't like how they look. So I think we'll clean it up a little bit before we put it on. But that makes me feel a lot better actually about how that is going to be. So I sprayed this down with some brake cleaner, or I think it's electric contact cleaner. Wipe that off, make sure there's no contaminants on those surfaces. They look good. And then I cleaned the cam up the same with the red Scotch-Brite. I think that significantly helped our case. Obviously, we still got that one cam lobe with that blemish defect right there. Nothing I can do about it, but hopefully it kind of polishes or wears itself out. Well, hopefully the cam doesn't wear itself out. Hopefully it kind of polishes away just with some running. I think that's about the best we're going to get. That's a significant improvement. We'll go ahead and get some assembly lube on all this, get this cam installed with the new seals, get it torqued down, and we should, the rocker arms and everything too, you know, and we should be good to go. All right, camshaft's all lubed up. I spun it around a few times before I put the rocker arms in, just to make sure the bearing and everything seems to spin free. I got the seals kind of set in place. About to put the caps on and kind of just tighten it down. I got to go double check the torque sequence on that and the tightening sequence, so it kind of just evenly sets itself down and pushes all of the valves in evenly. But there we go. There's a cam seal, cam cap on the back. Everything's looking pretty good. Well, I was going to show torquing those bolts down quick, but my phone decided to go dead, so, you know. Anyway, I just went opposite of the removal, so we started, here, and just kind of went like here, 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 here. Torqued them all down to 215 inch-pounds, which isn't very much, by the way. That don't need to be very tight. I got this torqued to 65. I got this torqued to 65 foot-pounds. I've got the new cam gear, or the, yeah, tensioner, you want to call that. It's a plastic gear, by the way, so we'll see how good that is, I guess. It's, at least the bearing's good, unlike the other two tensioner gears that I've got between the old one that was on here and the one on the old motor. They're both junk. So that's what we're going to go with. I think now it's time to get the valve cover all sealed up here. I did spin it over a few times just to make sure. As you can see, we got nice clean contact going all the way around. Everything looks good. It spins nice and free. Something I want to note here is factory service manual says to put a little RTV between the two outer cam caps. So here, there, and there. So I did that when I sealed them down. Our seals, they say not to put the seals in until the cam is installed and the caps are installed. I snugged them down with the cap. It's a lot easier that way. And they seem to be sitting pretty a-okay there. So we should be good to go. I'm gonna get that valve cover. The valve cover is already cleaned up. It's right there. I'm just gonna get it slapped on. We're gonna put some RTV on this top piece. Look how pitted this is. So we're gonna make sure we RTV this top piece here and here. There's actually some funniness going on right there. Might nick that or sand that down. I don't know why they're so pitted versus the rest of it. It's just probably not as hard of aluminum. I don't know. I'll get that sealed up there. And then we're going to go ahead and get ready to start timing this motor properly, like it should be. So I was going to put the valve cover gasket on. Unfortunately, this must be for like some special 2.5 valve cover. That's not the one we have, clearly, because this is not going to work. One we need is, we'll clip into these holes here and kind of hold itself in place. This is not going to do that. This is kind of like, you push it into like a groove, which this is not for this. So AutoZone has a valve cover gasket set in stock on the north end of the Twin Cities. So I don't think we're getting it today in the snowstorm, but I'll have to go out and drive up and get it tomorrow. Either that or order one on Rock Auto and expedite it, and it's $22 at AutoZone to get the gasket they have in stock. If I order it on Rock Auto, it's like $10, but then I gotta wait a week, or I could expedite it for $40. So 50 versus 25. Do I drive the hour or do I expedite? I'm just going to drive and go get the gasket. Well, I've been playing around with this for a little bit, and I think I finally got it where I want it, how I want it. First go, I was thinking about this cam. So this is how you line the cam up, this and these two arrows. So they line up with the lines there. That's how you line the cam up. Well, I'm thinking in that respect. So I take this guy and line it up with the dot here. Well, that's obviously wrong, because for the intermediate, there's a notch there that lines up with that dot. So we fixed that. I got it going, got it in. I went and I tightened the tensioner down. Turns out this ended up moving a tooth off when I set the belt up. So I just had to, you can slip it off of this pulley and then you can just tweak it one tooth and then boom, you're good to go again. A lot easier to do out of the car. As far as this goes, I just used a crescent wrench and I kind of just did it by feel. Got it to where, it's nice and tight. And then I just torqued this down to 45 foot-pounds. And then that's good to go. I've rotated it around a couple times and it feels good. I can feel compression on all four. And most importantly, the timing marks all line back up when you're done. So the engine is in time. I suppose all of this stuff wasn't bad per se, but we put the best stuff on our engine. This is the original distributor from the van. It was a lot cleaner, less corroded, so I cleaned it up. I put a new O-ring on it. This O-ring literally snapped. I'm sure this O-ring would do the same. They're both pretty hard. My gasket kit had an O-ring that was the right size, so I threw that on. After cleaning it up, it looks really nice there. I set it in the same spot that this distributor was in, on the engine, because they marked it before they took it apart. So despite it being a tooth off, they had it marked right. So I put it in the same spot, and sure enough, the rotor is pointed right at number 1 right there. I did use the cap off the van and all the everything. So the whole distributor, the cap, the rotor, that's all from the original van. The wires are from the new van, and the screws are from the new motor. So I swapped the screws and I swapped the wires. And I did that mostly, either or would have been fine, but this one from the van doesn't have screws broke off there for that cover. So if we ever come across a cover, I don't think either of them had one. We can put a cover on it if we want. But that's all good to go there. Well, I just got the thermostat housing back in. I tested the thermostat from this motor. It seems okay. a new gasket in. I put some RTV on it. I was getting ready to put this coil pack on because the coil pack kind of sits like this because I wanted to use this one. Well, I'm looking at it, and sure enough, it's cracked and expanded. So this coil pack is as good as junk as far as I'm concerned. So I need to either decide if I'm going to buy another 95 style coil pack, newer style, or if I should swap this wire and just go with the old one. I think this just answered that question. I think we're just going to go with the old coil pack, or the old coil, old ignition coil. It's not a pack. It's wrong terminology. But I think we're going to go with the original style coil that is on the vehicle, and that'll be that. All right, well, old Carrier's looking at 210/846. Heat's nice and warm, and well, it's not nice and warm outside. We'll just say that. I gotta go run a parts run, so this is the van to take because those two are performing the task of keeping the wind from blowing the shed away. So here we go, and I think the blizzard's technically over, but we're still in a winter weather advisory. It's blowing all this snow around, and it's cold as crap outside. So let's do the wrong thing and put this thing out on the road. There's my set of tracks. Out of the wind here, so the snow actually kind of accumulated. Fresh road. Just plowing through the snow pretty good. As you can see, the wind just takes it away and creates those drifts. Sometimes they get pretty big, but there's nothing around here to kind of stop the snow from moving. Alright, we made it to the AutoZone hub in Blaine, and we've got the goods right there. Got ourselves a valve cover gasket, got ourselves a set of plug wires, because the plug wires for the 90 Plymouth Voyager were cheaper than the ignition coil for the 95 to replace that coil and then keep the other, you know, the newer set of wires. So that's what we did. I got some brake clean, I've got a PCV valve and the little elbow for it, and we should be mint. We got old Carry 2.0 here going through the snow, just absolutely fantastic. Just about to roll 211, should roll it just before home here, because we're quite a bit of ways on the north end of the cities here. But sun's out, the wind is kind of calming down, the blizzard is mostly over. Road should be a lot better on the way back now. Well, we have made it back. As you can see, you got a fat drift right there in front of the snowblowers. So I got some work cut out for me. I gotta do some driveway cleaning here and snow blowing, and well, then I get to have some fun. All right, many hours of work later, here we are with the parts that we went and got this morning. So I've got a PCV valve and the little hose. I wasn't sure if any of our hoses were any good. It was a couple bucks, so I might as well. This is what we went to get. The 3-piece valve cover gasket. As you can see, He does valve cover gasket, we got cork gasket, and then the 2 rubber pieces for the side pieces. And then to solve our ignition coil fiasco, here is a new set of wires for a 90 Voyager 2.5 that has the super long coil wire to reach the original style Mopar coil that we have on the van. So I suppose we'll install those. We'll install this. The PCV is just going to sit off to the side for now. And then I want to tear into this water pump. The pump itself is fine. I need to get this bolt out for the plastic covers, and then I want to get out and reseal this water pump because I have the gaskets. It's a Mopar pump. The pump feels good. It actually feels like a really good pump. So we'll go ahead and just regasket it and throw this whole bracket back on this motor. Alright, valve cover installed. I applied a bead of RTV around the sides here on the aluminum side because it was kind of pitted. And then in each 4 corners, I put a group of RTV where the 2 gaskets meet, just so they seal pretty good, and then around the bottom of, or the head of each bolt. And then they're just kind of snugged on there. They're not super tight. You know, the last guy torqued them down and he bent the valve cover. I kind of had to clean that up before I put it on, so that's all fixed. And then I got the new set of wires on. This is the wire we were after right here, this super long guy, so it reaches over to the coil that's on the firewall or fender wall. Anyway, I swapped them all over. I like those blue wires better, but I put a little bit of dielectric grease on the ends of the boots, so hopefully they'll come off next time. And that's good to go. All I got left to do is to tear into that water pump housing, and then we'll get that bolted up here. We should be all set as far as most of this stuff goes. Then it's just engine brackets, plastics, and it's done. Oh, intake and exhaust, I suppose, too, huh? Here's a change in scenery. We needed some wood for the wood stove in the garage. So I chose a really nice, smaller tree over there. That's some nice wood there. And then I picked this punky one that I pushed down by hand. So that ought to do something, right? It's wood, right? Putting the old 1500 back to work. I'm gonna fill the entire bed with all this wood that I cut, which isn't very much, but it's enough for a few days of burning. It's currently snowing. When you go to put the timing belt on, don't be me, and don't forget to put this on. That's required. Anyway, there it is. It is on. It sure looks like it's sideways, but the motor sits like that, so there you go. Because you can't get this on around the belt. So I cleaned this up, put it back on, retorque the belt, or torque the tensioner, and it should be good to go. Sure looks like the belt used to be rubbing there a little bit. It's got some clearance right now, but doesn't take much. It kind of touches it, but that's okay. Yeah, there she is with all the plastics on. These two are like the first two to disappear from these engines, so it's nice we have them both. Thankfully, this distributor that we put in it had both of the holes already ready to go. I just had to find one screw. So I found those and I anti-seized both of those, and that should be good to go. Got this guy clipped into here. This aftermarket wire had this whole thing, so I had to like cut a little chunk out of it, and then so it would clip into that. And that is good to go. Now we just need to, I've got the whole bracket assembly with the alternator and everything. I'm gonna kind of take that apart and get the motor mount up on here and get this bracket bolted in. It's just kind of here right now. So otherwise, we're getting pretty close to having this engine done. Alright, we got a few more pieces on here. We've got the new motor mount and bracket. We've got the air conditioning bracket and the alternator bracket, whatever you want to call it. We've got the idler pulley, and it's kind of a tensioner for the AC belt as well. Water pump and everything's all in here, good to go. Obviously the air conditioner itself. The compressor is here. I've got this block-off plates I made with a gasket here. That way, because this compressor spins, it's free, it's not stuck, it seems okay. We might have a chance here that using this compressor. It's all buttoned up here. I went out and I found the belts I had, and apparently I bought the wrong belts. These are not the right belts at all. They're not even close to. I mean, maybe this one might. I have to get that alternator over here, but there's no way that's the right belt. This one is not even close. It's not even close. So I don't know what happened there, but whatever. This pulley right here was pretty noisy, and what I ended up doing is, because I wasn't going to buy one because I don't know if this air conditioning system works, is I took this pulley off of this bracket. I took the front seal off, and I sprayed and cleaned up the bearings, and then I re-greased it, and then I put the seal back on, and that pretty well fixed this pulley for now. It's greased, it's alright, should be good to go for a little while anyway. I gotta figure out what the heck happened with the belts, and otherwise, we're pretty well there. I mean, the engine itself, I think I've got everything on it now. So, I guess there's the bracket here for the motor mount stuff, but I'm not going to put that on until I think it's in the vehicle, because I think we're just going to rely on this mount and then the trans mount to kind of just set it in place, and then we'll go ahead and assemble this bracket tree when that's all done. But as far as dropping the motor in, I think we've got everything on here that we need. Aside from I wanted to have the belts on it, but clearly that's not the case. I was just gonna have the alternator belt just kind of here so I could just feed it on, but clearly that's not gonna work. It looks pretty good. Oh, manifolds. I want to put those on beforehand too. I think it'll all fit with the manifolds on and this on. I don't think we'll have any issues dropping it in. So I want it, because otherwise it's a pain in the butt to get those bolts all out. I mean, you know, it is what it is. But I'm going to get this figured out and bolted on. I know I got some work to do there. And then I think this is ready to go. Because the next on my list here is get the two mated together on the stand. Kind of get them dropped down off of these stands and just in the corner. And then just finish prep work on the van itself. And then I think we're about ready to drop this in. Granted, the prep work on the van itself is going to be quite a bit, but you know, it looks good, doesn't it? It looks really good. All right, so I went in and I got the alternator bolted in. I got the it's like the belt tensioner for it right there. It's got this little rubber damper. Luckily, we got that off of the donor engine, because the one that was on the original engine was junk. That one's in better shape. So the main belt is the correct belt that I ordered, so that was good. This belt, this AC belt, not even close. And the part numbers are way different than what like O'Reilly specs. So I guess I ordered the wrong belt on Rock Auto. That would be my bad. But yeah, it's not even close. Doesn't matter. We're not running that right now, so this is fine. I'm not even going to worry about it. But the main belt that's important is good to go. We might have to see. We might have to take that alternator off to clear putting the motor in, but I don't think so. I'm gonna find out, I guess. But I think we're good there. The belt alignment looks good. I don't see anything going on there that would be funny. It spins over. Everything spins free. Water pump's good to go clearly. It might need tension, maybe just a little more, but I'm gonna leave it like that for now. It's looking complete-ish. Awfully small belt to run everything we need, which I guess is just charging and cooling. That's it. That's all we need. Alright, I got the manifolds on. All cleaned up for the gaskets. Got the EGR bolted in here. There was some fun stuff going on with this little, it's a, I don't know, like a baffle, a exhaust shield. So this shield is off of the other manifold, and the other this shield had this little guy on here. Well, I snapped the bolts off trying to get this shield off the other manifold, and these little studs here are welded. They're like tack welded to the shield itself, so I couldn't get them off. So I thought maybe I could cut the baffle off and get it onto the shield that was on this manifold. Anyway, that went very poorly, and I was just going to run without it. This is the only one I managed to get the nut to come off of. So I was like, well, I can put this on with one nut, and I put it on, and it was too loose. So I managed to cut off the two studs here that were on the other here, and I kind of through bolted them on. So at least we've got this shield and this baffle to kind of keep the intake less warm. But then again, this baffle is supposed to like point off to here and kind of just vent the heat away. And I think, I don't know, maybe on the older engines it had a little connector tube, or some other cars it has like a tube that connects to it. I don't know. This didn't have it, but anyway, I got it on there. So this is all done up. It's good to go. I'm probably going to put the throttle body and the new EGR that we got, the new old stock, and get that on here. I think we're going to run that original throttle body that I put together, just because it's got all the proper tubes and vents we need for the 90 versus the 95. I'll keep that other throttle body around. There's no reason not to. You never know when we'll need it. Along with all these other parts like that manifold, the other intake. Oh, that reminds me, that exhaust manifold. We've got a new O2 sensor lying around here somewhere I got to go find. And we got to put that on there. And then otherwise, this engine is done. It's in one piece, right? Yeah, right. So I'll finish buttoning this up, and we're going to go ahead probably tomorrow and mate these two together. So I didn't buy the wrong belt. I just didn't buy the AC belt. You know what this belt is for that I just dropped? This is for the power steering. It's the power steering belt, because there's the power steering pulley back here, which I forgot about. So I need to loosen the tensioner here for the main belt and slip this belt on the back here so that it's at least in place, and then that way we can slip it over the power steering when we're putting it together. That's what this is for. I'm having there's an alignment issue going on with this idler. As you can see, this and that line up perfect. I don't know what's up with this idler, but it's wrong. And I thought I'd flip this pulley the other way just to see if that would make it better, and it doesn't seem to have. But you can see it, right? It's clearly not right, but it doesn't matter. We're not running it anyway. It's just kind of there just so it's there. We'll deal with that some other time. But yeah, this is for the power steering. Alright, so here we are at the engine again that is still in the garage. I'm doing some of the final prep work and getting it ready to kind of mate together and put back in the engine. That includes taking this tape measure right here and measuring my distances here, and also the engine bay. So the engine bay, I've got 26 inches of clearance, give or take. And I came out to like 31 with the AC and alternator installed. So I could have either taken this off, which would have been a pain to install in the vehicle, or this, which would be easy. So we opted to take the AC and the alternator off, and that got my measurements. It's like 25 inches and stuff between the intake and down here. And you'll be able to, because this will go in first and it'll tuck underneath the front like upper rad support, so we shouldn't have any issues down here anyway. And then I got the power steering pump and bracket all cleaned up, and then I put a coat of paint over it, and now I've gone and bolted it to the vehicle with this bolt, this nut, and stud, which I had spare. Apparently I just had a nut and bolt going through here because I forgot about the pump. Anyway, I had this, which is what it's actually for. And then I also got the bolt down here. And then when I was cleaning up this power steering pump, this bolt right here was gone. It wasn't even there. So I found a bolt for that, put it on. That's indicative of this pump being out of the vehicle at some point. So, interesting. Maybe that pump is good, believe it or not. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. But it looks pretty. It is an OEM pump because it's got an OEM part number on it there. At least the this is. Somebody, I guess, could have gutted the housing and put a reman pump in that way instead of having the reservoir replaced, which is something you do. But at the very least, it's all bolted together, and it's within the intake here, so it's not going to cause any issues with installing the engine. And that belt I said was wrong is actually 100% the power steering belt. So we're going to get that installed quick. That way it's on there ready to go when we drop the engine in. Alright, so I got the belt loosely put on there. I've got the tensioner all loosened up. I figured I'd give you an idea of how you tension this belt, because this is a V-belt system still, so it's not no serpentine setup. So right here you got your 1/2" socket here. And you got this nice beautiful bracket, which you can just put a 1/2" ratchet into. And try to get you some leverage here, which I'd like to get some more out of that, but there, that's pretty good. And then you should be able to go in and tighten the adjuster bolt, which is right here. If I could get in there and do it. I should be able to hit it with this. It's got a ratchet wrench on the end. Yeah, like that. Ideally, have somebody else tension it while you do it, because that frees up a hand. And then obviously I loosened the other bolts down below here. This bolt and the nut on the back for the pump so it could pivot. So you're going to want to tighten those back up too. And just like that, that's got some tension on it. That should be good to go. And now I'll crank them down with both hands. And then the pivot bolt. There. That should be good. That belt, pretty tight. You know, it can't be loose. It'll do its own stretching and stuff, but it's got to stay tensioned because it doesn't have a tensioner. So that should be just fine right there. I'm sure there's a torque spec or something for that. It's a belt. It'll be fine. And if it squeaks, try tightening it more. But at least we don't have to try fight putting this all on after it's all in the vehicle. That makes that a little easier. So don't let me forget to put power steering fluid in there. I've already got, if you guys have seen this, I was smart and I did this. No oil, because there's no oil in here, no power steering fluid, there's nothing in the transmission. Ideally, that will tell me you better do something about that. Otherwise, I think this is now finally ready for me to assemble it to the transmission. I got to go find a piece of plywood I could set over top of the engine hoist, which is right there. And I'm going to clear my table out of the way, and we'll get this kind of all set up to hopefully mate these two together. And just like that, the engine is now off of its stand and freestanding on this big piece of plywood with a couple of wood blocks under it. Anyway, I've been busy here. I've got all of the final tins all cleaned up. I got that one installed, as you can see, at least with its holding bolt. And then I've got the flex plate installed and labeled properly. So we should be good for me to take that transmission and manhandle it off of that stand and put it right there. We'll drop the torque converter into it, and we should be able to get it up and bolt it up. I gotta find the mounting bolts for it. I'm sure they're somewhere, but I don't have them with me. Anyway, that looks good. Technically, this engine is now ready for oil because these bolts here go into the oil passage, or into the engine cavity, I suppose. They've got some blue Loctite on them, and they are torqued to 70 foot-pounds. And all I did is torque wrench, and then, big wrench on the crank pulley. Good to go. And there you have it. The engine is officially complete. It's done. It is ready to go into the vehicle. Well, getting ready to mate these two together. Got the torque converter in there, and I ran into an issue. Looks like we've got alignment dowels on both the transmission and the engine. So what we're going to do is punch the alignment dowel out of the engine side. That way this will seat up. Otherwise, looking pretty good. I've got the jack under here to kind of lift and lower that to kind of just level the engine. It's sitting pretty perfect right now. Also as a support, because this board is, U-shaped. Get that punched out real quick, and we should have this two together. Little 9mm socket fit perfectly. Was able to pop that thing out, no problem. And just like that, our engine and our transmission is done. The drivetrain for the worst 1990 Plymouth Voyager is something that should, in theory, run and drive, at least to the best of my efforts and knowledge. That is going to be the abrupt end to the engine repair episode on this Voyager. Next week, we're going to kind of jump back in time a little bit, and we're going to start working on the interior, getting all of that situated. The rust repair in the engine bay that we pointed out, that needs addressed before we can even think about putting the engine back, as well as start looking at the underside of the vehicle, fuel system. And we've got a cool kind of surprise hopefully coming up, probably not next episode, but maybe the one after, for the fuel system. I got some good stuff I'm working on in the background there. And from there, we got to look at parts. What do we need? There's a lot of parts that you'll see interior wise, body wise, that we don't have. And we need to find a way to get them. And I'll leave it at that. I guess you'll have to stay tuned and see what I come up with. So I appreciate you guys watching and sticking around if you've made it this far into the video. I know it was kind of a lot of just kind of grinding and getting that engine situated. It was not as nice as I had initially thought it was, but it was definitely a good palette to work with. We've got it put together. I'm confident that engine will run and it will run good. So I will see you guys next week as we get back into the van itself. I should hopefully have that video out on time. I know this video went out late, so it's busy IRL stuff. You know how it goes, I guess. And with that, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.